1. Let me tell you about this 1985 GMC C60 I found on Marketplace. This is a serious work truck from the mid-80s, and at $7,000, we need to look at it carefully. The C60 is a medium-duty truck that GMC built for serious hauling, and this one's got some interesting numbers. Only 67,000 miles on the clock, which is surprisingly low for a commercial vehicle of this age. It's powered by a 366 cubic inch tall deck big block V8, which was a workhorse engine known for its torques and durability. The 4-speed manual transmission paired with a 2-speed rear axle gives you plenty of gearing options for different loads and conditions. Being honest here, at this price point and age, you're looking at a nearly 40-year-old commercial truck. While the mileage is low, these trucks typically lived hard lives. The seller's description is pretty basic, which means you'll want to thoroughly inspect the frame, brake system, and check for any rust issues typical of these old work trucks. The gray exterior is pretty standard for these utility vehicles, and honestly, if you're looking at this truck, you're probably more interested in its functionality than its looks. For $7,000, you're getting a piece of American commercial vehicle history that, with proper maintenance, could still serve as a capable work truck. Just remember, this isn't a restored showpiece. It's a vintage work truck that will likely need some attention to keep it running reliably. If you're mechanically inclined and need a heavy-duty hauler, it might be worth checking out. 2. Let's talk about this interesting 1979 Ford Ranchero that's popped up on Marketplace for $5,000. You know, these car-truck hybrids have a special place in automotive history, and this one's got some stories to tell. What we're looking at here is a Ranchero 500 with just 47,000 miles showing, which is pretty impressive for a 44-year-old vehicle. It's rocking a red-on-red color combo, which was a popular choice in the late 70s. The seller mentions it's been modified and has had some significant work done. We're talking a rebuilt transmission, new carburetor, fresh tires, and a Flowmaster exhaust system with new catalytic converters. That's actually quite a bit of mechanical attention. Being completely straight with you, $5,000 for a modified Ranchero in good condition for the year could be a decent deal. The fact that it's had only 2 owners is a plus, as these vehicles often bounced between multiple owners. The modification suggests someone's put some care and money into keeping it running. However, let's be real. Any car from 1979 will have its quirks. Even with the mechanical updates, you'll want to check for the usual suspects. Rust in the bed area and around the wheel wells, electrical gremlins common to Fords of this era, and how well those modifications were actually done. For the right person, maybe someone who appreciates these unique car-truck crossovers and doesn't mind a bit of vintage character, this could be a fun project that's already had some of the major mechanical work sorted. Just remember, you're buying a 44-year-old vehicle that's been modified, so keep some money aside for ongoing maintenance. 3. Let's talk about this 1984 Ford F-250 that's caught my eye on Marketplace for $9,550. I've got to say, this one's pretty interesting. This is a heavy-duty F-250 with the massive 460 cubic inch 7.5L V8 engine, which was basically Ford's muscle for serious hauling back then. With only 76,000 miles and 2 owners, it's surprisingly low mileage for a nearly 40-year-old work truck. The 4x4 setup with a 4-speed manual featuring that sweet granny gear is exactly what you want in an old-school workhorse. Let's be real about what we're seeing here. The seller's been pretty transparent about the work done, and it's impressive. We're looking at a fresh clutch with just 100 miles on it, new clutch master and slave cylinders, new intake, carb lines, thermostat, fuel lines, and recent fluids all around. That's a serious amount of maintenance that shows someone's been taking care of the important stuff. The gray exterior with blue interior is classic 80s Ford, and there's apparently just one small dent behind the passenger door. The seller mentions the frame and interior are clean, which is huge for a truck of this age. The previous owner reportedly only used it for towing, which might explain the low miles and decent condition. At $9,550, you're paying for a well-maintained example of these increasingly rare heavy-duty Fords. While the seller mentions few problems here and there, they claim they've been addressed. Still, let's be realistic. It's a 39-year-old truck, so expect some old truck characteristics and possibly some future maintenance needs. For someone looking for a classic heavy-duty Ford with the legendary 460, manual transmission, and 4x4 capability, this could be a solid buy, especially considering the recent mechanical work. Just remember, these big block trucks are known for their thirst for fuel. But hey, that's the price of old-school power. 4. Let's check out this 1953 Chevrolet 2500 that's listed for $13,000 on Marketplace. I've got to be completely honest with you about this one. This is a classic 53 Chevy 3100 series truck. The seller seems to have listed it as both 2500 and 3100, with the original 235 straight-six engine, which was a reliable workhorse of its era. The listing shows 41,000 miles, but with vehicles this old, it's always hard to verify if that's original or if it's rolled over. Now, I need to be straight with you here. The seller's description is extremely brief and somewhat unclear, possibly translated, which is a bit concerning for a $13,000 vehicle. They mention it walks, presumably means it runs, and has its papers, likely meaning it has a title. But there's very little detail about the truck's actual condition, restoration history, or mechanical state. The white exterior is visible, but without more detailed information about the interior condition, rust situation, or mechanical health, it's hard to make a full assessment. For a 70-year-old truck, these details are crucial. At $13,000, you're in the territory where you should expect a decent amount of documentation and clarity about the vehicle's condition. The 1953 Chevy trucks are beautiful pieces of American automotive history, but with such a vague description, you'd absolutely need to inspect this one in person, verify all documentation, and probably bring along someone knowledgeable about these vintage trucks before making any decisions. Remember, while these trucks are increasingly collectible, restoration costs can add up quickly if things aren't as they seem. Make sure you know exactly what you're getting into at this price point. 5. Let's talk about this 1982 Chevrolet El Camino Supersport that's listed for $7,750 on Marketplace. This one's pretty interesting, and I'll tell you why. First off, we're looking at what appears to be a genuine one-owner SS El Camino with an incredibly low 8,742 miles claimed. That's remarkably low for a 41-year-old vehicle, and if accurate, makes this quite a special find. The white exterior paired with a red interior is a classic color combination that really works on these El Caminos. Being completely honest here, the seller's description is pretty minimal, but there are some important positives to note. It's a true supersport model, which adds value, has a clean title, and they mention it's been recently serviced and runs and drives. The one-owner status is a big plus. It suggests the vehicle has had consistent care throughout its life. At $7,650, you're paying for the rarity of a low-mileage one-owner SS El Camino. These car-truck hybrids have a strong following, and clean examples are getting harder to find. The fact that it's already received a deposit suggests others see the value here too. However, I should point out that even with low miles, any 41-year-old vehicle will need attention. You'd want to verify the mileage authenticity and check all the usual trouble spots these El Caminos are known for: rear quarter panels for rust, transmission condition, and the electrical system. For someone looking for a genuine SS El Camino with an interesting history and apparently very low miles, this could be a solid investment, especially if you're into these unique pieces of American automotive history. Just remember to verify all the claims and perhaps get a thorough inspection if the current sale falls through. 6. Let's check out this 1973 Ford F-350 that's on Marketplace for $13,500. This is one of those old-school workhorses that's got some interesting updates. Let's be real here. This is a proper one-ton farm truck with the robust 390 FE V8 engine, which was one of Ford's better power plants from this era. With 65,000 miles showing, it's got relatively low mileage for a 50-year-old work truck. The green-on-green color combo is classic 70s style, and I've got to say, these old Fords have a certain charm to them. The seller's been pretty upfront about everything. They acknowledge some rust on the body panels but claim the rest is clean. What's really interesting is the amount of recent work done. Within the last 2,500 miles, we're looking at a rebuilt carb, new ignition components, fresh battery cables, and a complete brake system overhaul. The Dana 60 rear-end swap from an 88 F350 with 3.73 gears is actually a smart upgrade for reliability. The custom touches are pretty cool. You're getting an 888 flatbed with removable oak stake bed fence, which is perfect for farm work. The GT racing steering wheel and custom shifter add some personality, and those moon rims with new tires give it a distinct look. At $13,500, you're paying for a working piece of American truck history that's been thoughtfully upgraded. The 4-speed manual with granny gear means it's built for serious hauling, and the dual exhaust probably gives it a nice rumble. Just remember, while there's been lots of mechanical attention, you're still dealing with a 50-year-old truck that has some body rust. But for someone looking for a capable classic work truck with some style, this could be a solid choice. These old Fords were built to last, and with the recent mechanical work, this one seems ready for its next chapter. 7. Let's talk about this 1982 Chevy Blazer that's listed for $6,500 on Marketplace. I've got to be completely honest with you about this one. This Blazer's got some serious muscle under the hood with a 454 big block V8 swap, backed by a turbo 400 transmission and a 208 transfer case. That's a potent combination, but here's where we need to be real. There are some significant issues to address. The seller's straight up telling us it won't run on its own fuel system, even with a new carburetor and electric fuel pump, and it needs a drive line installed. That's not a small problem, folks. It's been built as a bit of a beast with 6-inch positive arch springs all around and 35-inch tires, plus 2 spares, which is nice. The black exterior might look tough, and those sliding glass windows in the top are a cool feature. Headers have been added, which should give it a mean sound, when it's running properly, that is. Being completely transparent here, at $6,500, you're buying a project that needs immediate attention. The fuel system issues need to be sorted out, and installing a driveline isn't a parking lot job. The original side panels are included but are admittedly rough, so factor in some bodywork if you want it looking clean. This is definitely not a hop in and drive home situation. It's more of a bring a trailer and have a game plan kind of deal. For someone who knows their way around these trucks and isn't afraid of some wrenching, there's potential here. That 454 swap could make for a monster once sorted out. But if you're not mechanically inclined or looking for something ready to roll, you might want to keep looking. Remember, projects like this often end up costing more than planned, so budget accordingly if you're serious about taking this one on. 8. Let's check out this 1978 Chevy Scottsdale C10 that's up for $7,900 on Marketplace. These square-body Chevys have become really popular lately, and I can see why people are drawn to this one. We're looking at a classic C10 with the reliable 350 V8 and automatic transmission combo, showing just 45,000 miles. The brown and tan color combination is period correct and pretty classy for these old trucks. What's particularly interesting is that this appears to be a well-preserved example with working AC. That's a big plus for a 45-year-old truck. Being completely honest here, the seller's pretty upfront about the condition. The brown paint is about a decade old and shows some clear coat fading, which is pretty common for older repaints. However, the interior seems to be a high point. They're claiming excellent condition with no rips or tears in the seat, which is rare for these trucks. At $7,900, you're paying for a clean, running example of an increasingly collectible truck. The low mileage, if verified, adds value, and working AC in a vintage truck is always a bonus. The new tires are another plus that saves you an immediate expense. What I really appreciate here is that this seems to be a solid driver rather than a showpiece. These C10s were built to be used, and this one appears ready to serve as a daily driver while still turning heads at cars and coffee. Just remember, even with low miles, you're dealing with a 45-year-old truck. While it might be in great shape now, expect some maintenance to keep it that way. But for someone wanting a classic square-body Chevy that they can actually use and enjoy, this could be a pretty solid deal, especially considering current market values for these trucks. 9. Let's talk about this 1982 Chevy Silverado that's listed for $14,000 on Marketplace. This one's got quite a story to tell. First off, we're looking at a classic square-body Silverado with 100,000 miles on the clock, sporting a brown exterior. What's really interesting here is the extensive list of new parts and upgrades. The seller has basically redone the entire interior. We're talking new seats, seat belts, dash, instrument cluster, carpeting with heat shield and soundproofing, pedals, and door panels. They've even installed a retro-style radio with 3 speakers to keep that period-correct feel while having modern functionality. Under the hood, it's running a 305 engine, though the listing mentions 305 360, which needs clarification, with a new Edelbrock 4-barrel carburetor and electric choke. The AC system has been updated with new vents, there's a new dual exhaust system, and it's riding on new tires and wheels. The bed has been protected with a spray-in liner, which is a practical modern touch. Now, being straight with you, $14,000 is a significant ask for an '82 Silverado, even in today's market. However, the amount of new components and restoration work does add value. The question is whether all these upgrades were done professionally and how well they've been integrated. For someone looking for a classic square body that's been thoroughly refreshed inside and out, this could be interesting. Just keep in mind that even with all the new parts, you're still dealing with a 41-year-old truck at its core. You'd want to verify the quality of all the work done and make sure everything's working as it should. If you're after a square-body Chevy that's had most of the interior restoration work already done for you, this might be worth checking out. Just make sure to inspect everything thoroughly to ensure the asking price matches the quality of work performed. 10. Let's dive into this really interesting 1963 Ford F-250 that's listed for $15,000. This is one of those special projects that deserves some attention. What we've got here is a fascinating build. It's originally a 2-wheel drive F-250 that's being converted to 4x4 using period-correct parts from another '63 F-250. The seller's been super transparent about the conversion status. The front axle swap is done, but it still needs the transfer case and drive shafts mounted to complete the 4x4 transformation. The heart of this truck is a 292 Y-block engine, which is running beautifully according to the seller. What's really impressive is that aside from a repaint in the early '70s and the ongoing 4x4 conversion, this truck is remarkably original. We're talking about original nuts and bolts, which is incredibly rare for a 60-year-old work truck. The off-white color looks clean, and here's something that'll make vintage truck enthusiasts smile. All the electrical components work, including the radio, horn, and heater. That's pretty remarkable for a truck of this age. The seller mentions there's no rust, which is a huge plus for a vehicle of this vintage. At $15,000, you're buying into a unique project that's been thoughtfully executed with period-correct parts. It's not quite finished, but all the remaining 4x4 components come with the sale. This isn't just any old truck. It's a carefully planned conversion that aims to look like it could have rolled off Ford's assembly line as a 4x4 in 1963. For someone who appreciates vintage Fords and wants a unique project that's already well underway, this could be a really cool opportunity. Just remember, you'll need to finish the 4x4 conversion, but once completed, you'll have something pretty special, a period-correct 4x4 F-250 that'll definitely turn heads at car shows. 11. Let me tell you about this classic 1952 Ford F-100 that's caught my eye on Facebook Marketplace. This is a genuine piece of American automotive history, and at $14,500 it's worth discussing. The truck comes with its original flathead V8 engine and a 3-speed manual transmission mounted on the column. That's pure vintage engineering right there. With 80,000 miles on the clock and just one owner, this F-100 has been well preserved. The burgundy exterior paired with the tan interior creates a classic, timeless look. What's particularly impressive is that the frame is in excellent condition and there's no rust to worry about. That's pretty rare for a 70-year-old truck. They've upgraded the front brakes to rotors while keeping the rear drums, which is a smart safety modification. The new tires are definitely a plus too. The fact that it runs and drives great according to the seller is promising. Though as with any vehicle of this age, I'd recommend a thorough mechanical inspection before purchase. For collectors or classic truck enthusiasts, this F100 represents a solid opportunity. These trucks are increasingly sought after, and this one appears to be in well-maintained condition with thoughtful upgrades. The price point of $14,500 is reasonable for a rust-free running example of this vintage, especially considering the current classic truck market. Remember though, this is a 70-year-old vehicle, so expect it to drive like one. It won't handle like a modern truck, but that's part of its charm and historical value. 12. Let's talk about this 1983 Chevy Blazer that's popped up on Facebook Marketplace for $12,000. I've got to be completely honest with you. The seller's description is raising some serious red flags. Just $12,000 or oboe for a 40-year-old vehicle? That's concerningly brief. This K5 Blazer has 150,000 miles on it, and while these trucks were built tough, that's significant mileage for a vehicle of this age. The gray exterior and green interior is a classic 80s combo, but without any details about condition, we're left in the dark about potential rust issues, mechanical state, or whether it's been restored. Speaking of price, $12,000 is ambitious for an 83 Blazer with this mileage and zero information provided. These vehicles typically range from $5,000 for projects up to $25,000 for pristine examples. Without knowing if the transmission is original, if there's rust, which these are notorious for, or even if everything works properly, I'd be very cautious about this listing. Look, I love K5 Blazers. They're fantastic pieces of American automotive history, with great potential for both daily use and off-roading. But in this case, you'd absolutely need to inspect it in person, check thoroughly for rust, verify the mechanical condition, and probably negotiate that price down significantly unless it turns out to be in exceptional condition. The lack of information in the listing suggests either the seller doesn't know much about the vehicle or is hiding potential issues. Either way, proceed with caution and bring a mechanic if you're serious about it. 13. Let me tell you about this 1971 Chevrolet C30 3500 HD that's caught my attention on Marketplace for $3,000. I've got to be straight with you. This is an interesting project truck with both good and challenging aspects. The good news first. With 80,000 miles, the seller has made some meaningful improvements, including new front disc brakes, rotors, and tires. The truck comes with a solid 350 engine and a 4-speed manual transmission, which is a reliable powertrain combination. Having a clean title is also a big plus for a vehicle this age. Now let's be honest about the challenges. The seller openly admits it needs tuning and requires a complete exhaust system to be roadworthy. That's going to be an additional investment. However, for a 52-year-old work truck, being solid for its age is actually promising, as these old workhorses often suffered from severe rust issues. At $3,000, this price point seems fair for what you're getting. A project truck with good bones that needs some work. The red exterior might need attention, common for this age, and notice there's no mention of the interior condition, which could mean additional work is needed there. For someone who's mechanically inclined and looking for a classic heavy-duty truck project, this could be a worthwhile investment. The needed repairs are straightforward, and the major components are there. Just remember to budget for that exhaust system, tuning work, and likely some interior restoration. These C30s are becoming increasingly collectible, especially in complete running condition. 14. Let's talk about this 1982 Dodge D150 that's listed for $4,800. This is actually a W150, which means it's the 4x4 version, an important distinction that adds value. With 123,580 miles on the clock, that's pretty reasonable for a 41-year-old truck. The good news here is straightforward. It's powered by the reliable 318 V8 engine paired with a 4-speed manual transmission, a robust combination that's known for durability. The seller mentions it runs good and can drive home, which is always a positive sign for a vehicle of this age. They've installed a brand new dual exhaust system, which is a nice upgrade, and the interior is reportedly clean and in good shape. The black exterior with blue interior is a classic 80s combination. Having a clean Tennessee title is definitely a plus, as title issues can be a nightmare with older vehicles. The seller seems honest and straightforward, even noting they'll provide additional photos of the interior and engine later. At $4,800 with room for negotiation, OBO, this price seems fair for a running driving W150 4x4 from this era, especially with the new exhaust system. These trucks are gaining popularity among collectors and enthusiasts. However, as with any 40-plus-year-old vehicle, you'd want to check for rust, especially in the bed and cab corners, verify the 4x4 system works properly, and inspect the frame thoroughly. I appreciate the seller's humor about not wanting to trade for bikes or boats because it's too cold. It suggests they're straightforward to deal with. For someone looking for a classic 4x4 pickup with potential, this could be a solid choice at this price point. 15. We're taking a look at a 1976 Chevrolet C20 that's currently for sale on Facebook Marketplace. The seller has it listed at $7,000. From the description and details provided, this C20 seems to be in pretty good shape. It's got a 350 V8 engine paired with a 350 automatic transmission, and it's a 2WD model. The exterior is a tan color, but the seller didn't specify the interior color. One of the most important things to note is that the seller states there's nothing wrong with the truck at all. They mention it drives great and can easily handle 100 miles as a daily driver without any issues. The title is also clean, which is always a good sign. The seller's description is fairly brief, but it hits the key points. They confirm the engine and transmission specs, that it's a 2WD model, and reiterate that it runs well with no problems. Based on the information provided, this 1976 Chevrolet C20 looks like it could be a solid truck for someone in the market for a classic daily driver. The price seems reasonable for a vehicle of this age in apparently good running condition. Of course, as with any used vehicle purchase, it's always a good idea to see it in person, give it a thorough inspection, and take it for a test drive before committing to buy. But from what the seller has shared, this C20 could be worth a look for anyone interested in a classic Chevy pickup. That's all the details I have for now on this 1976 Chevrolet C20 for sale on Facebook Marketplace. 16. We're checking out a 1981 GMC 1500 that's up for sale on Facebook Marketplace. The seller has it listed at $5,000. Now let's dive into the details provided by the seller. This GMC 1500 has 108,269 miles on the odometer, which is relatively low for a truck of this age. It's equipped with an automatic transmission, and the exterior is brown, while the interior is orange. The truck runs on gasoline and has had 3 or more owners over its lifetime. One important thing to note is that the seller mentions the steering is loose and needs a new steering box. This is definitely something to keep in mind and factor into your decision if you're considering this truck. Loose steering can be a safety concern and may require immediate attention. On the positive side, the seller states that the 283 engine has low miles and the truck has new tires. They also mention that it runs and drives, which suggests that it's in operating condition despite the steering issue. The seller's description is fairly concise, but it does provide some key information. They highlight the 3/4-ton running gear, the low mileage on the engine, and the new tires. However, they also openly acknowledge the steering problem, which is appreciated for transparency. Overall, this 1981 GMC 1500 seems to be a mixed bag. It has some appealing features like the low engine miles and new tires, but the loose steering is a concern that would need to be addressed. The price of $5,000 could be reasonable if the truck is otherwise solid, but it's important to carefully consider the potential repair costs for the steering issue. As always, it's crucial to inspect the vehicle in person, take it for a test drive, and have a mechanic check it out before making a purchase. This will give you a better idea of the truck's overall condition and help you make an informed decision. 17. We're taking a closer look at a 1984 Chevrolet Classic that's currently for sale on Facebook Marketplace. The seller has it listed at $6,000. First off, let's go over the details provided by the seller. This Classic has an automatic transmission and a black exterior, but the interior color wasn't specified. It's had 2 owners, and the title is clean, which is always a good sign. The seller also mentions that the vehicle is paid off and has no significant damage or problems. Now let's dive into the seller's description. They mention that they're throwing this up to see what happens, which suggests they may not be fully committed to selling the truck. The Classic is equipped with a mid-70s 350 small block Chevy engine and has a 1978 front-end mask. The seller also states that they have new Hedman headers for the engine, but they're just sitting because they don't have the time to install them. One important thing to note is that the seller says the odometer doesn't work. This means it's difficult to know the truck's true mileage, which could be a concern for some buyers. On the positive side, the seller does state that the truck runs and drives. This is good news, as it suggests that the Classic is in operating condition despite the non-working odometer. Overall, this 1984 Chevrolet Classic seems to be in decent shape based on the seller's description. The clean title, lack of significant damage, and the fact that it runs and drives are all positive points. However, the non-working odometer and the seller's seemingly lukewarm attitude towards selling the truck are things to keep in mind. As with any used vehicle purchase, it's important to see the truck in person, give it a thorough inspection, and take it for a test drive before making a decision. The $6,000 price tag could be fair if the Classic is in good overall condition, but it's crucial to gather more information and assess the truck's true value. 18. We're taking a look at a 1979 Ford F-100 that's currently for sale on Facebook Marketplace. The seller, Matthew Cooper, has it listed at $4,500 or best offer. First off, let's go over the details provided. This F-100 has an automatic transmission, and both the exterior and interior are brown. The seller mentions that the title is clean, and the vehicle has no significant damage or problems, which is always good to hear. Now let's dive into the seller's description. Matthew states that the truck runs and drives great, and he recently installed a new carburetor. He mentions that he got the F-100 in a trade, but doesn't have room to store it, which is why he's selling it. It's worth noting that the seller seems open to questions and negotiation, as he mentions 4,500 oboe, or best offer, and encourages potential buyers to ask any questions they may have. He also states that it's first come, first serve, which suggests he's looking to sell the truck relatively quickly. Based on the information provided, this 1979 Ford F-100 seems to be in good condition. The fact that it runs and drives great, has a new carburetor, and has no significant damage or problems is definitely a positive. The clean title is also a good sign. Of course, as with any used vehicle, it's important to inspect it in person, take it for a test drive, and have a mechanic check it out before making a purchase. This will give you a better idea of the truck's overall condition and help you determine if it's worth the asking price. The seller, Matthew Cooper, joined Facebook in 2017 and seems to be located in Danville, Indiana, although the exact location is approximate. 19. We're checking out a beautiful 1972 Chevrolet C10 that's up for sale on Facebook Marketplace. The seller has it listed at $14,000 or best offer. First, let's go over the details provided by the seller. This C10 has an automatic transmission, a blue exterior, and a black interior. It runs on gasoline and is in very good condition according to the seller. The title is clean, and there are no significant damage or problems mentioned. Now, let's dive into the seller's description. They describe the truck as beautiful and classy, which suggests they take pride in the vehicle. The C10 is equipped with a 350 engine and an automatic transmission, providing a classic powertrain combination. The seller mentions several noteworthy features, including air shocks, 2 sets of wheels, as shown in the photos, a Bluetooth stereo, a headliner with speakers, and a custom exhaust system. These additions enhance both the comfort and style of the truck. One important thing to note is that the seller states the truck runs and drives great, indicating that it's in good operating condition. They also mention that you must see to appreciate the C10, suggesting that it may have additional appealing qualities that aren't fully captured in the description. The seller is asking $14,000, but is open to best offers, which means there may be some room for negotiation on the price. They also state that they would consider trades for a car or SUV, providing another potential option for interested buyers. Overall, this 1972 Chevrolet C10 seems to be a well-maintained and stylish classic truck based on the seller's description and the provided details. The very good condition, clean title, and lack of significant issues are all positive signs. However, as with any used vehicle, it's crucial to inspect it in person, take it for a test drive, and have a mechanic assess its condition before making a decision. The $14,000 asking price may be on the higher end for a C10, but the specific condition, features, and modifications of this particular truck would need to be evaluated to determine its true market value. 20. We're taking a look at a 1978 Ford F-150 that's currently for sale on Facebook Marketplace. The seller has it listed at $4,500. First, let's go over the details provided by the seller. This F-150 has an automatic transmission, specifically a C6. The exterior is orange and the interior is brown. It runs on gasoline, and the seller mentions that the vehicle is paid off and has a clean title. They also state that there are no significant damage or problems with the truck. Now let's dive into the seller's description. They mention that the F-150 is equipped with a 460 engine, which is a big block V8 known for its power. The seller describes the truck as solid for the year, suggesting that it's in good condition considering its age. The seller notes that the truck runs, drives, and stops, indicating that it's in operating condition. They also mention that all the lights, heater, and wipers are working properly. Additionally, the F-150 has new rims and tires, which is a nice upgrade. However, the seller does make it clear that this is not a show truck. This suggests that while the truck is functional and solid, it may have some cosmetic imperfections or signs of age. They're setting realistic expectations for potential buyers. The seller seems firm on their asking price, stating that they will not respond to low-ball offers. They're also not interested in trades and won't deliver the truck, so it's a local sale only. Overall, this 1978 Ford F-150 seems to be a decent truck based on the seller's description. It has a strong engine, a clean title, and no major issues mentioned. The new rims and tires are a bonus. However, it's important to keep in mind that it's not a show-quality vehicle, so some cosmetic wear and tear should be expected. As with any used vehicle purchase, it's crucial to inspect the truck in person, take it for a test drive, and have a mechanic assess its condition before making a decision. The $4,500 asking price seems reasonable for a functioning classic truck, but the actual value would depend on its specific condition and local market. That's all the information I have for now on this 1978 Ford F-150 for sale on Facebook Marketplace. If you're in the market for a solid vintage work truck, this one could be worth checking out.